For decades, university was sold as the safest route to a successful career. Get a degree, work hard, and good opportunities will follow. But today, students face rising costs, soaring debt, a frozen job market, and the looming threat of AI. I'm here at the University of East Anglia to investigate the good, bad, and the ugly to answer one of the biggest questions facing this generation. Is university still worth it? To understand how we got here, you have to go back to the late 1990s. For much of the 20th century, university in Britain was relatively exclusive, with far fewer young people attending compared to today. But under Tony Blair's government, higher education rapidly expanded, with a target for 50% of young people to enter university. The idea was simple: create a more educated workforce, and in many ways it worked. More people than ever before now have degrees, but as university attendance increased, so did questions about value, cost, and whether degrees still hold the same weight that they once did. One of the biggest consequences of mass university participation is that degrees are no longer the differentiator they once were. For many graduate and office-based roles, having a degree has shifted from being an advantage to simply an entry requirement. As this expansion has taken place, concerns about grade inflation have also grown.
So grade inflation is a real problem. If everybody is getting a first, what really is the value of that first class honours degree? And if we're in a battle to try and prove our students are the best, there is a temptation for universities to just keep awarding higher grades.
In the mid-1990s, only around 7% of the UK graduates achieved a first-class degree, whereas today that figure exceeds 30%.
A lot of employers are not looking at what grade classification an individual achieved.
But for careers such as medicine, engineering, architecture or law, higher education remains one of the only realistic pathways into those professions.
So vocational degrees are obviously really important. You've got to remember that they are a degree. They're not a job training exercise. So there's a balance between how much you spend on the vocational side.
But now another challenge is beginning to reshape the entire graduate job market: artificial intelligence. AI tools are rapidly automating many of the lower level administrative and analytical tasks that traditionally acted as entry points for graduates. Roles once used to train young employees are beginning to disappear, making it harder for graduates to gain the experience needed to progress.
One of the biggest single indicators of individual success within any workplace is their attitude to learning, the positive attitude to challenge and to gaining new skills. And I think universities can provide that.
Some economists and business leaders are now warning of a future skills gap, where companies struggle to develop experienced senior staff because junior positions no longer exist at the same scale. For students graduating into this environment, only time will tell if there'll be enough meaningful graduate jobs waiting at the end of it all. But despite all of this, university still offers things that are difficult to measure purely in salaries or employment statistics.
It's a change of life for a lot of people. Making new friends. It's not just about the lectures, it's also about the life that you develop while you're at university.
The social side of university remains hugely valuable and often shapes friendships and opportunities for years afterwards.
It provides real support and reduces the barriers to individuals who come from less well represented sectors to gain access to high quality learning.
And some students genuinely love academic learning.
And I know this sounds kind of ivory towersy, but there is an element of learning for the sake of learning. In some ways it doesn't matter what your job is at the end of it.
The problem is that these benefits now come attached to a much bigger financial question. Because while university may still offer life-changing experiences, those experiences now cost more than £9,000 per year before living expenses are even considered. And that brings us to perhaps the most controversial part of modern higher education: student loans. Over the past 3 decades, Britain has shifted away from state-funded higher education towards a system where students increasingly finance universities themselves through debt.
As the numbers of individuals wanting to attend university grew and grew, the only way the government felt that they could support this massive increase in numbers was to increase student loans.
Supporters argued the system allows universities to expand without placing huge pressures on public finances. Critics, including Martin Lewis, argue that the excessive interest causes loans to function more like a regressive, long-term tax for graduates.
What Martin Lewis is saying is that this is a tax on students, which is absolutely is. But there's no reason why we shouldn't pay for students from general taxation, because if you want to go to the doctor, if you want to have a nurse, if you want to have a pharmacist, those are all university graduates and they benefit everybody.
At the same time, many students feel they are receiving less for their money. Larger class sizes, reduced contact hours, and overstretched lecturers have all contributed to a growing perception that university no longer offers the same value it once did. But perhaps the clearest sign of this pressure is the graduate job market itself. Even students graduating from some of Britain's top universities are struggling to secure internships, placements, and graduate jobs. I'm here at Cambridge University to ask the best of the best how they're finding getting future employment.
I put in about 100 applications since the start of the year. I heard back from about 10 of them, and I got, I think, 2 interviews.
The situation is just looking terrible.
One of the interviewers never got back to me after that, and the other one told me that they'd take a month. They got back to me 2 months later, and they said that actually the position didn't exist anymore.
Not a single student doing politics in my year in Cambridge has managed to get a return offer.
I did get a summer internship last year doing software engineering at a hedge fund. And for that I probably went through about 30 to 40 applications, I'd say.
It's been pretty brutal, to be honest, but I think that's just what everyone else is facing as well. Honestly, I don't really know who the jobs are going to.
I know people who've gone through about 1,000 applications and still not been able to find a job.
When I went to my assessment centre, of the 12 of us there, every single person had done a year in industry at a Formula One team. So it was sort of in a weird way, a prerequisite.
Now with AI, anyone can write a low effort but seemingly high effort application, so it's a lot harder for you to make yourself stand out against other candidates.
As a result, alternatives to traditional university are becoming increasingly attractive.
University's not for everybody. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Successive governments have taken their eye off the ball a little bit by not putting as much emphasis and support on further education and apprenticeship.
Recently, MBA level funding had been redirected towards post-school degree apprenticeships, therefore increasing supply.
I think the expansion of the degree apprenticeships can only be a good thing, because it does mean that people are earning at the same time as doing the degree.
Skilled technical trades such as plumbing and electrical work are also seeing rising demand and can offer strong long-term earnings without necessarily requiring a conventional university route. So with that in mind, is university still worth it?
Oh, it's definitely still worth it for all those things I said about the life that you get here, and but also it opens so many doors. It's a great thing to do.
I think the first thing they need to try and think about is understand who they really are. What are their strengths and their weaknesses, where their passions are, what do they want to achieve in the world.
There's nothing wrong with somebody not going to university and instead doing something else, learning a trade, going through an apprenticeship route or whatever.
So I think you need to look at what is your why and then make a decision whether university and what degree programme is right for you, or whether something very, very different is going to be the best.
University still has an important place in British society, but the system is also under growing strain. A degree alone no longer guarantees success in the way it once may have done. And perhaps the real answer now is that university works best when combined with practical work experience and realistic expectations, rather than simply being treated as a default step for an entire generation to come. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe, and who knows, you may even enjoy this one too.